Okay, I guess now is an okay time to start. Although I guess any time is fine. But today I wanted to talk about Zoroark. Now a lot of people they know what Zoroark does. They've seen Zoroark quite a lot. But I think this is still a really interesting figure to talk about, even if people sort of already know everything that I'm gonna say. Um, I still think this is one of the most interesting figures in the game, at least. In terms of maybe not in terms of battle or its wheel, but in terms of its ability and how you can use that during a game. So uh, Zoroark, maybe if some people only played at the end of the game, they may not have seen Zoroark too much, or people that didn't play at the end of the game might not know that Zoroark stopped being used. But that was because it got a nerf. Let me read the ability first, and then I'll explain that. So, when this Pokemon is on the bench, or has not yet engaged in its first battle after moving to the field, and another of your Pokemon that has the same MP or less than this Pokemon, and has not yet engaged in its first battle after moving to the field, if that condition is met, and that figure is attacked before the battle, you can switch Zoro with that Pokemon. So essentially just if Zoro hasn't been in a battle, and if one of your other figures hasn't been in a battle, Zoroark can take the place of that figure if your opponent attacks it. And you used to be able to switch with anything, and this is why it was so potent in rush decks. So obviously the weakness of rush, or one of the weaknesses, is that all these 3 MP figures, they really have a hard time winning any battles. And so you would just throw your 3 MP figures forward, and Zoroark would switch in with them when they got attacked, and cross counter allowed it to potentially, sort of change the outcome of the battle and allow you to go plus while you were pressuring your opponent. But it was nerfed to where this part right here, it can only switch with something that has the same or less MP. So this means that Zoroark can only switch with 2, 1, or 0 MP figures. So Zorua is 3 MP, has the same ability, but this didn't really come up in Rush. People did still play Zoroark a little bit in Rush, just because you still could switch with Poipole, but it didn't show up as much because they got new figures like Ponyta. But I was going to talk about this outside of Rush, and even how it can be used, even with its ability nerfed, because while switching with 3 MPs is probably the most common strategy with Zoroark, and probably the most intuitive strategy with it, being able to switch with anything, or any 2 MP I should say, just to clarify, is still a very good addition to a lot of decks. However, this condition that the Pokemon you're switching with can't have battled yet was kind of hard to keep up, because lots of battles are going on, and sometimes you want to switch with something that's already battled and you can't. And Zoroark was a figure I didn't use it a whole lot for a while. When it first came out, a lot of people were using it, and I think some people didn't quite understand like when they should switch or when they can switch. So I was a little unimpressed with Zoroark at first, which wasn't necessarily the fault of the figure. I'm not saying that I use Zoroark perfectly, absolutely not, but I think that there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with it. And I keep saying that, but I haven't said anything yet. So I'm going to talk about a really cool strategy, or at least like a pair-up that went well with Zoroark that I used for quite a while when this figure came out. And that figure is Aegislash. I'm actually going to go ahead and bring up the map right now because I know I'm going to need this to talk about some things. So Aegislash was very strong. Very, very, very strong. An incredibly strong figure, scary figure. And if you don't know, it's because when you switch to blade form, you can attack from range 2, which essentially means you ignore almost anything your opponent has when on its wheel. And I said in the first video when I was talking about Zygarde, I said that Zygarde would negate Aegislash from range. I'm not entirely sure if that's true. I'm pretty sure it is. But the only reason I somewhat doubt that, or at least thought it might not be true, is just because, like I said, range 2 ignores a lot of what the battle opponent does. But anyway, so this is a figure that attacks from range 2, so it is incredibly strong to attack with on your turn. And shield form is pretty annoying to deal with as well while it's on the field. It's hard to deal with. But both Aegislash forms are pretty susceptible to white Z moves. Purple Z moves are really risky against blade form, obviously, and somewhat risky against shield form. The same can be said about white into shield form, just because you do at least have Shadow Ball. But really, the most effective way to take out Aegislash is with a Z move, a white Z move. And so this is where Zoroark comes in, and I love this. I think this is one of the coolest two figure synergies in the game. It's not broken by any means, but I'm repeating myself, but it's just cool. So I'll explain it a bit here. And the idea is that because Zoroark can't switch with a figure that's already battled, it means that most figures that you attack with can't really utilize Zoroark, or like Zoroark can't protect them. But Aegislash is different. Because you change stances, whenever you change forms, that counts as being a new figure on the field. And so if Aegislash changes forms without attacking, Zoroark now has the option to switch with it. And this came up a lot, honestly, because I don't think too many people considered it, and I wouldn't have thought of it if my opponent was doing it, most likely. So like I said, Aegislash, I guess I'll get blue. Maybe I'll just go up here for something different. What? I thought I switched. It's not giving me blue. Oh, that's why. So wherever Aegislash is at, although maybe it's a bit better if it's in the back. So if like things are clogged up on this side, like my figure is here and Aegislash is behind it and my opponent is here, and like this figure in front maybe can't attack this, but I can attack it from range with Aegislash. And hopefully I take it out. This figure goes away. Oops. So if I take this out with Aegislash, then on my next turn, I'm making this way too complicated. Sorry about this. So moving Aegislash forward now, I can change back to shield form and move forward. But let's say my opponent has other figures around here, and they're like, okay, this Aegislash is now, like, if they have a figure on the goal, my Aegislash can change forms, move here, and attack from range. So maybe my opponent wants to stop that. And so they're like, okay, you're in shield form, you have mostly blue, you know, a little bit of purple with Shadow Ball, but this is the perfect opportunity for your opponent to Z-move it, right? But because I changed forms, like I said, this can now switch with Zoroark. And hopefully Zoroark is on like an advantageous position. I want to talk about positioning Zoroark some too. But that's the whole idea there, is that Aegislash changed forms and didn't attack. And so now if my opponent Z-moves this, I can switch it with Zoroark and potentially gain advantage off of my opponent's Z-move if I cross-counter it. That doesn't always happen. Here you are. And like this is the main reason Zoroark is so much better than Zorua, is because Zoroark has cross-counter to deal with these high damage moves. And so like I said, if they Z-move Zoroark, you have a 50% chance basically to cross-counter and go plus on their turn when they Z-moved, which means they lose a figure, they lose their Z-move, and Aegislash is safe somewhere else. Even if Zoroark gets knocked out, Aegislash is still safe, and that's the main point I want to make about Zoroark, is even if Zoroark itself doesn't have a good matchup, if you can protect your best figures, like maybe your win condition figures with Zoroark, then it's doing an incredible job. So now, because now Aegislash, wherever Zoroark was, maybe Zoroark was in the back somewhere here. Now I can move up again, attack from range, and just keep doing this. And like I said, this actually did come up quite a lot, because most people know Aegislash is a big threat. And even sometimes it would even be worth it for me to change into blade form and just move without attacking. Like maybe my shield form was attacked by something back here and I got Shadow Ball or I got King Shield, and so I stayed on the field. I can then, if I still want to keep this safe, I can change forms and move without attacking, and then just change forms back to shield form again. Now that does mean that the next turn when you're in shield form, obviously you don't have access to the range too, but you have that option at least. And so I want to talk a little bit about using Zoroark in that way for other decks or other figures as well, because like I said, this is something that protects. I'm doing this wrong. This is something that protects your key figures. And earlier, before I started my talk here, I was trying to find an example to confirm what I'm about to talk about, but I didn't spend too long on it, so I'm not really sure. I'm pretty sure, but not 100%. Oh, let me get the music. I'm sure you don't know what the heck I'm talking about. I was going to bring up megas, so I'm pretty sure not 100%, maybe like 90% sure that Mega Evolving does... Oh, it's not playing. Sorry. There we go. I know the music is hard to hear, but it at least helps fill the fill the void when I pause. But yeah, Mega Evolving, I believe, has the same effect that I said Aegislash does, where it counts as a new figure on the field, which means it's now available to switch with Zoroark. And I think that this would be most effective in a deck where you have multiple of a single Mega. So something like Lucario. Well, I was gonna say that Mega Lucario is 3 MP. Well, actually, yeah, I'll still use that example. So let's say you're playing a game and you have more than one Lucario and Mega. And let's say this is a Mega Lucario, and you come up and you Corkscrew Crash, you land here, but this Mega ends. But your opponent knows you have another Mega, and you're threatening, or I don't know. I'm not very good at examples like this, or at least I haven't thought this one out as well. But when your Mega ends, this Lucario now counts as a fresh figure and can switch with Zoro. So maybe your opponent knows that Lucario can Mega again and take the goal or anything like that. Even if it can't, even if it's threatening another Corkscrew Crash or something. The basic idea I'm trying to say is that when the Mega ends, this Lucario can switch with Zoroark. So if your opponent sees it as a threat and hits it with a Tectonic Rage or Menacing Moonraze Maelstrom, let's say Zoroark is like maybe he's on your bench, or maybe he's back here, just in the back somewhere. When they Z-move, you can switch here. Zoroark can, maybe it wins with Sucker Punch. But now this Lucario can Mega again, or Corkscrew Crash again. Not again, but if you have Corkscrew Crash. I'm repeating myself a lot. I apologize for that, but now this Lucario is still on the board and is still threatening, and Zoroark is the only figure that can protect something in that way and give you those kind of plays. That was probably more effective before it got nerfed, though. But it doesn't have to be a 3 MP Mega. Maybe even what's a good example? Maybe even like Garchomp. Like maybe your opponent sets up a wall here, so your Garchomp can't jump over. Maybe your Mega just ended, or this hasn't even been attacked yet. Switching with Zoro here. Like I said, the main idea is just to save a valuable figure. And Zoroark can net you some advantage during that, if you get cross counter on a white Z move, or Sucker Punch on a purple Z move. Alright, I've probably repeated myself too many times, so I'll talk about a little something else. Well, but before I move on, I do want to talk about positioning Zoroark. And this is something that probably you can't do in a real match, or most matches at least. Because Zoroark itself can't be in a battle in order to use its ability, it's hard to move it forward, which means a lot of times when you switch with it, the figure you switch with comes back a little bit. But if you can push Zoroark forward, and this is going to kind of tie into the next thing I wanted to talk about. Like I said, this is sort of a low possibility, low probability, but if Zoroark is here, maybe not. Yeah, this is a bad example, so maybe I won't say that. I'll just move on then. Essentially what I was going to talk about next, because I guess today is sort of a positioning and advantage kind of talk. So Zoroark can save your valuable figures and potentially get you advantage off of your opponent's Z move. And I think that's probably the most effective time to use Zoro, is if you see your most valuable figure, or one of your most valuable figures, like Aegislash or Omega, get attacked, then maybe you switch with Zoro just to save it. Even if you don't get a KO, you can at least save the figure. But now I want to talk about a term that's in chess and like shogi and games like that, and that's forks. So Zoroark can kind of set this up some too. But this is what, it didn't happen a lot, but this is something you really want to try to do during a game, is set up what's called a fork with your surrounds. Oh, hey there, H2O Queen. I don't interact with the chat a whole lot. I mostly just do this sort of as a podcast. But I'll come back and read chat every now and then. So sorry if I don't answer right away, because I have a hard time sort of speaking with chat and also keeping keeping track of what I'm talking about. Let's see, so I was talking about forks. I need to figure out what's a good example. Sorry, I'm trying to think of the best way to show this. The basic idea, if you don't know, is that in a fork situation, maybe talking about this will help me. This is probably unlikely, but if your opponent, if the board looks like this, and this isn't exactly what it has to look like it can happen in a lot of different situations, but if it looks like this, and it's on your turn, or sorry, if it's your opponent's turn, and there's a figure here, your opponent has to choose. Yeah, this is also a bad example. Okay, maybe not. Maybe you let's say you have a figure on your bench, and it looks like this on your opponent's turn. Your opponent has to choose which one of these figures they want to save in this situation, because if this figure moves, or if it takes out this figure, then you can bring out something and surround the other one. Like I said, this is a bad example because something like that setup doesn't happen. Oh, I wish I had drawn this out before, because it did come up in a few cases during some of my matches. Yeah, I should have thought this out a little bit more. Sorry about that. Oh, okay, Queen. I'll look at that. Since I'm I'm kind of losing track of what I was talking about just now. I need to make a few more notes because I knew I wanted to talk about things like that, but I didn't give myself any good examples. I figured I could just come up with one, but it's a lot harder than I thought it was. So I'm just gonna go look and see what your comment was. Oh, was it on the second video? Oh, okay. Thank you, Queen. Yeah, I'll read it and I'll reply to it. Thanks a lot. All right. So that failed. It's hard for me to come up with good examples. Z moves really helped a lot because something like Shattered Psyche would move you around and then you could put your opponent in a weird situation like that. That was all I really wanted to say, is that you want to find situations where your opponent has to choose one figure over the other. And a lot of times, actually a lot of times, I think the goal, setting up forks is much easier when you threaten the goal. Like let's say your opponent has a figure here and they have a figure on the goal, and your figure here is blocking this. Maybe what you can do, oh wait, no, I need to move. Like there's a figure here, maybe. Something you can do, if you don't have a good way to win the game immediately, like you can't surround this, something you can do, like maybe you're using Lucario, you can corkscrew crash this, KO it, and then move here. And so what this does, I guess this is a little bit better example, maybe a little more practical than the last one. And so what this does, if you have your Mega, your opponent has to stop this, either block it, KO Lucario. Hopefully they can't KO Lucario. The safest thing for your opponent to do is to block this, of course. And so in this situation, you're forcing your opponent to give up this figure, or at least they most likely have to give it up unless they can like jump over. It's really specific. It is really specific. But this can kind of also be applied to goal block. Like, well, that's not the same thing. Yeah, today's episode is a little bit iffy so far. But even if your opponent has goal block in this situation, that's still good, because that's something that is almost always beneficial for you, is forcing your opponent to goal block, especially early. If you can force your opponent to get rid of that plate, it just means you don't have to worry about it later. Okay, Queen, thanks. I'll check again. Maybe I didn't see it. I gotta go back to the other music. Okay. Well, at least I know next time. I'll draw up some examples beforehand. Maybe that'll be the first thing I talk about on the next one. Is try to give some better examples of this because this was a little bit this was a little iffy, but that's okay. Okay. I do actually want to bring up something about Zorua really quickly. This was one of the things I wrote down that I wanted to mention. So like I said, Zoroark got nerfed, and so you didn't see it in Rush, and most people didn't use it outside of Rush decks. But I thought it might be fun after Zorua, or after Zoroark was nerfed. Maybe I would try Zorua in an interesting way. And the idea came to me with, where are you? With Tornadus. So whenever Tornadus was first released, this is a very strange figure. All three of the genies. So this is a figure. It's 3 MP. It moves through stuff, and that's really good. That's really cool. However, it says this Pokemon cannot win you the duel by moving to the goal point. And so, like, this and of course the other 2 genies are the only figures that have this ability. And it's a big downside for sure. But somehow I got the weird idea to try this out because, you know, switching something ice decks do is they switch with something on the goal, a frozen figure on the goal, to win immediately. And so it's like maybe Tornadus does something strange like that when it takes the goal, because you can land on it and you can Pokemon switch. That seems a little weird. Sorry, one second. This is... I need to fix something on my board here. Okay, there we go. And the idea I had was to use Tornadus to take the goal. It doesn't win, but if I have a Pokemon switch or the reveal glass plate, my opponent has to get rid of this. But you can switch with Zorua and win immediately without the battle happening. Now this is really unlikely for a lot of reasons. So the first thing, of course, is that your opponent, usually they don't let Tornadus go on the goal, and this is for a couple of reasons. One, either they see you have a Pokemon switch or you have reveal glass, so they know that you can take the goal and then switch, or I think a lot of people actually didn't realize that Tornadus couldn't win by taking the goal, and so they would just block it anyway, which is the smart thing to do for sure. I'm not saying this is a good strategy, but it was just something really interesting that it was just like sort of a weird interaction that came up. I will say, so this was, I ran this whenever Tornadus was new. So none of the other genies had come out yet. And I only pulled this off against one player, I think. I don't remember who it was. I think it was kind of a, not well known, but a player that's a lot of people knew. I don't remember who though. Yeah, the only way to pull this off, and the other bad thing about this, I don't even know why I'm sharing this, other than I just think it's interesting, because it's really bad. But Tornadus can't be attacked before it gets here, or like it can't be in a battle. Yeah, I only pulled this off once, but if someone did want to do this just for fun, I think Landorus would at least be a better idea. It's at least a better figure in general because you have Tectonic Rage. But that was just a fun little thing I did one time. Well, I really appreciate that, Queen. Yeah, this is just kind of for fun. Just decided to just talk about whatever comes to mind. Alright, so I talked a bit about Zoroark, Zorua, gave some bad examples on forks. Let's see, how long have I been going? Okay, the only other thing I wrote down that I might talk about today, and I mentioned it last time, is Abomasnow. Hopefully this goes a little bit better. Well, I guess my talk about Zoroark wasn't that bad, but felt a little jumpy. Anyway. I think Abomasnow is a really interesting figure. Well, maybe it's not like as in-depth as something like Zygarde that I talked about, or even Zoroark. But I think this was a pretty usable figure. So I guess I'll start with that and start about why. Let me actually go back to the map. I just like having this up. So really, the best thing about Abomasnow is just the fact that it's a grass type. And grass types are good because of Grass Sphere, you know, which meant that if Grass Sphere is up, Abomasnow can't be hit by 4D Drive, can't be hit by Takeaway, can't be hit by Moongeist Beam. Like that's a big plus for every grass type in the game. But something else Abomasnow takes advantage of is Ice and Freeze. So both of its white attacks, Blizzard and Ice Beam, cause freeze. Which, like I was saying before the stream yesterday, I was talking a bit about freeze and how not too many things or not too many figures actually cause freeze, and it being on a white attack does mean that, you know, it's not guaranteed. It has to be through a white on white or white on gold battle, and of course it's only if Abomasnow is knocked out. But freeze is the best status in the game. Like I said before, just because of all the figures that take advantage of it, like Vulpix and like Frostlass. But I don't think Abomasnow has to be ran in a freeze deck. I think it's a nice figure for that, but I think Abomasnow probably doesn't deserve a slot in a freeze deck, just because you want multiple Curums. You probably want at least one Frostlass and at least one Vulpix. But even outside of that, Abomasnow is very good. Like I said, because it's a grass type, you ignore all the movement attacks. But it also has Sheer Cold, And this is a pretty good move. It's a purple attack. It's 2 stars, so yes, you tie with a lot of stuff. But it's just a KO move. And not many things have something like that. This is really small though. Only being 16, so it's 25 at max. Which is probably what I would level up on Abomasnow. But so this is a figure that has good white moves because you freeze when you're KO'd, which is always good, even outside of a freeze deck. Just freezing something means your opponent has to tag it. Like they have to go out of their way to do something about this, or they have to spend a plate, like scoop up or switch or use a mega. So it may not always be detrimental, but it's at least an annoyance for your opponent, and that's something that not all figures have. Like when they're KO'd, you at least get something out of it. But like I said, it also has Sheer Cold, so it has an option to remove things. And so I think Abomasnow is pretty annoying from the opponent's perspective because of those things. And its ability, I think this is maybe not the main thing, but another, I would argue, somewhat significant thing about Abomasnow. So its ability, opposing flying type Pokemon and dragon type Pokemon within 2 steps have MP -1. Now this is very specific. However, there are at least some good dragons in the game. A few good flying types. But like I keep mentioning, it's just over and over, is that Palkia, I don't know why I'm drawing, but Palkia is, in my opinion, the second best figure in the game. And it's a dragon type. So there's at minimum at least one really prevalent dragon type in the game that you can affect with this. And I think this is where I want to move on to the Mega. So this is actually another Mega. I think a lot of Megas, or a lot of the later Megas, have this, where the ability is sort of an upgraded version. Well, I guess most Megas have this, but well, let's go ahead and read it. While this Pokemon is on the field, opposing flying type and dragon type Pokemon each have MP -1. So this isn't restricted to just being within 2 steps. So normally Abomasnow has to be within this range of Palkia. So if Palkia is anywhere here, or here, or here. If Palkia is anywhere here, then it's reduced to 1 MP. And that's pretty good. But Mega Abomasnow at least gives it only 1 MP anywhere. And this is what I wanted to mention that's, I think, kind of nice. I'll go ahead and say it now. I'm going to talk about Rotom as well, using Rotom with this. But if you have just a regular Abomasnow here, and you have a Mega Abomasnow anywhere else on the field, now a Palkia anywhere here, that's a nice circle, a Palkia anywhere here has 0 MP, because this does stack. Even the Mega's ability, I don't think you can you can't have more than 1 Mega Abomasnow, but at least the Mega and this can stack. Or even more than 1 just regular Abomasnow can stack and give something 0 MP. And I think that's pretty good. It's not insignificant, for sure. So let me go ahead and bring this up now. That is Rotom. So because you only affect Dragon and Flying types, like I said, you affect Palkia, you would affect Rayquaza. Rayquaza wasn't too common at the end of the game. Hold on, let me actually check, because I'm forgetting what Flying types you would see. So maybe Celesteela. Aerodactyl was somewhat common. The Gyarados as well. Let's go to... well, I'll just go back to the one song. Gyarados, even Mega Pinsir is flying. Drifblim, Altaria. You know what? Actually, yeah, there's a decent amount of flying types that you affect with this. But anyway, I was going to talk about Rotom. Now, I don't think this is a very good deck. Definitely not. I think this may have been a nice niche, actually. I'm sure you can see where I'm going with this, but having Fan Rotom... one sec. Having Fan Rotom means that you cause the entire field to become Flying type. Now its ability, unfortunately, I really wish its ability was as good as Wash Rotom. But it's not, so oh well. Its ability is okay, it doesn't do too much for you. It prevents your opponent from getting like maybe a Mega buff whenever they attack your flying types with their flying types. Not amazing, but you know, okay. But the idea behind sort of this crazy deck is just having Abomasnows anywhere when your opponent is blocking within 2 steps. If you activate Fan Rotom and you have a Mega Abomasnow, then everything gets -1 MP, and everything within one of your regular Abomasnow's range is at 0 MP, unless it's a 3 MP figure, of course. But I think that's actually fairly decent. Now that I wouldn't say that's like a win condition. It's more of an annoyance. But the only reason I think something like this would work is that Abomasnow itself is decent. Really, I guess the only thing holding this together is the fact that Abomasnow is grass and can use Grass Sphere. And the Mega, I think you would sort of use this in the same way that a Poison deck would use Venusaur. Well, the old Poison deck. I've probably lost a lot of people on this because this is sort of just a cheesy deck. But Mega Abomasnow would probably stay in the back just because it has 1 MP. You can, though, at least if you're not going for the MP reduction, I think Rotom is still a good partner for Abomasnow because you can start off with the Grass Rotom, and this would allow your Abomasnow your Mega to have 2 MP straight away. Let's actually look at the Mega, because it's fairly strong. Its only downside is that it's 1 MP. So Woodhammer, an opposing Pokemon adjacent to the battle opponent is knocked 2 steps back. And this is pretty good for an attack against the goal. So if you can push your Abomasnow up and you get here and attack the goalie, you can potentially KO this with Woodhammer and knock this figure back. Or even, well, no, I won't say that. I was gonna say if there's like multiple figures together, that's probably too unlikely. But it hits 210 actually, and Blizzard being 190 is fine. But its sheer cold is now 3-star, and it's a bit bigger. It's at 33 when you get to level 10, and that's the same as Blaziken's Cyclone Kick that I was talking about yesterday. So if you're okay with using Blaziken's Cyclone Kick, you should be okay with sheer cold. And that gives you removal options as well. Exclusion, I mean. Because you can Sub-Zero Slammer and potentially freeze something within 2 steps. So you have a figure that can give Palkia -1 MP, or Drifloon, or lots of other things. Actually, hold on. No, never mind. I was misremembering what Takeaway does. So never mind. Although Takeaway doesn't affect you anyway. So you have a figure that can reduce a decent amount of figures' MP just on its own, if they're in range, or you can Mega and reduce their MP anywhere on the field, or if you're using Rotom Fan and you activate it, you can give a bunch of figures -1 and some of them -2. And like I said, I don't think that's totally insignificant, and I think, you know, at least a somewhat feasible strategy. Mostly just for fun though. I think you're probably better off just using just a straight up freeze deck, but I don't think the main purpose of this deck is freeze. I think the freeze is just sort of just a secondary that comes along with it. One idea I had a long time ago, I doubt this would have worked out very well though, but my idea was to have Mega Abomasnow sort of be a surprise 3 MP. Because Abomasnow is just 2 MP, and your opponent probably knows that the Mega is only 1. Maybe they don't, because no one used Abomasnow. Honestly, no one used it. Well, I can't say no one, but most people didn't. But if Trick Room activated, then Abomasnow actually becomes 3 MP when you Mega. It still can't move through stuff, which is really bad, but it's something. It's a figure that I wanted to mess around with, but just never took the time to, because I was actually trying to win, and I don't think this is a figure that would win you a lot of games. But I like the idea, at least, and it's fun for me to at least look at figures like this, sort of like I did with Zygarde, although more people at least use Zygarde. But it's fun for me to look at figures like this and see what it could have done. Okay, this episode was a little shaky. It felt a little shaky, at least. Still fun though. I said I would make notes, and I sort of did, but I think next time, if I plan on doing like examples like this, or like the forks that I was trying to show, I need to come up with them beforehand, because it's really hard for me to think of stuff on the spot like that. So maybe next time I'll have some ready for that. But regardless, I think that's it for today. Next time, who knows what I'll talk about next time. Each time I do one of these endings, I say I'm going to talk about something. I did talk about Abomasnow, I mentioned that last time. But really it's just whatever comes up during the day before the stream. Sometimes I change my mind as well. But anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching.